Hey, so what's up guys, it's your boy Patience and I decided to come at you guys with a little new one. So in this one I want to talk a little bit more about the, do like a little review of 4.1 with Star Citizen and how I find it thus far. Now ever since 4. I think it might have been 4.3, sorry I think this is 4.8 or something like that. Well, I last played 4.3, I believe, and ever since then I said I wasn't going to play no more, and I did not. I've come back and I've got my hands onto 4.8.1, because 4.8.0 was terrible, but I must admit this one seems pretty darn good. And where I'm usually one of those guys where I like to usually kind of criticize, it's pretty hard for me to do so this time because at the moment I have nothing but I've got nothing but compliments. Dealing with the boxes in this instance was pretty darn good. I still have the problem with the fact that doing small cargo missions are a hell of a lot easier and better than doing bigger cargo. Why? Because you rake money in a lot quicker. How? Each small crate mission or small cargo mission gives you 50,000. There's 4 of these missions for a player to collect at each time. So once your ship is big enough, you can rake in 200,000 a run. If you know what you're doing, you can rake in 350,000 or so, or maybe 250,000. So roughly every hour you're making 500,000, which is pretty darn neat. With a bigger ship, so let's say you've done that the small missions as much as you can in order to invest into your bigger vessel, you buy your bigger ship. Before I go into that, this bit here is really nice. I like the inside model of the ship. I would have liked to have seen the fireplace, obviously where the door buttons are, and where the door buttons are where the fireplace is, but besides that everything there was perfect. And I like seeing the fire extinguisher aboard the RSI. The HUDs are looking a hell of a lot better also, and I feel like the physics are feeling a little better as well. Taking that into consideration, once you're able to invest into your bigger ship, the cargo missions are still kind of working in favor for the small cargo crates to haul back and forth from your home planet to the nearest space station. Now I think this is a giant flaw, because the whole reason why you want to invest in buying a bigger ship is so that you can make more money doing bigger crates. You've got bigger space, you want to carry bigger crates, that's going to give you a hell of a lot more money than tiny crates, but you end up having to fly larger distances being paid roughly about the same amount, or just a little bit more, sometimes in most cases a little bit less than you would holding the smaller crates. So getting an upgraded ship really is not there's no point to it. So here the idea was to showcase that obviously coming back after the wipe, I have my only starter ship, which is the Aurora, and I'm going to work my way back up to the ships that I did have, which was the MSI, which I might purchase, pledge by. If I don't, it'll be another ship, simply because I wasn't satisfied with that ship. I'd only be buying it for cargo runs. I know everyone would say buy the Constellation. I don't want the Constellation, and be the MSI over that. Otherwise maybe the Valkyrie or Paladin or something like this, ones where they actually look neat. But anywho, not to mention the Constellation, there's big 4 engines at the back of it, are just so easy to target and to take out. Once you're mobilized, you're sitting duck. So taking that into consideration, the MSI, I had the Razor, I had the C1, obviously, and a few little land vehicles. So they've told us, obviously CIG, that a lot of these ships, or the PU, is a persistent universe. It's not the persistent universe because they're still wiping a hell of a lot of your stuff. Wiping the money, I think, was a good idea. I'm actually glad that they took my ships away, because I had a lot of stuff that I didn't want to have. This way I'm able to build my way back up the way that I want to, and I don't like the idea of just having a dozen ships sitting inside my hangars because it just does not feel realistic enough. I like the idea of grinding my way up, not necessarily to the top, but to a high point, and that's actually my goal. But what they have done, they've also taken away everything that was in my my lockers, in my hangar. So all my armors are now gone, and a lot of my stuff like that. But taking that into consideration, besides the side gimmick stuff, I'm very satisfied with where this patch has seemingly gone. It doesn't feel like a dynamic change or dynamic advance in any way. I don't feel like they spent time on this patch, but I do feel like there's little nitpicks here and there that feel slightly improved. I'm not sure if I'm reading into it too much. Maybe I've been off this title a bit too long, but the physics feel a little bit better. The camera motion is a bit off because if I turn my ship, is it yaw or is it pitch? I believe if I yaw left and right, the camera kind of comes off from the center of the ship, so it's not pivoting right, if you ask me. So that's something that needs to be looked into. Other players may be satisfied with it. I find that to be slightly distracting because like a cinematic shot, you're always having to re-angle the camera, as it were, even though I turn off the cinematic abbreviation from the option screens. But besides that, there is something else that I was slightly against of in favor, which would have been when I take my landing gears out, my ship slows down manually, automatically, and it slows down too much. I don't think that's a good way to go. I prefer being able to control my speed limiter. Otherwise, I control how I fly my ship. So I go into decoupled mode, and I control the speed of how I move my ship when I'm preparing to land. If a player feels like they want that automatic feature on, then they set that automatic feature on, unless that's something that's actually in and I don't know about. That's something I'll look into. My apologies if that's the case, but I don't like the idea of my ship handling being taken away from me, or robbed away from me, so as to ensure that I'm able to land in a safe and fashionable manner. I like to control my ship 100%, because as far as I'm concerned, that's my profession. Somewhere along here you'll begin to see that I'm fiddling with the camera quite a bit to keep it behind my ship and in the right position, to keep not just myself but my viewers immersed. And I felt like I was having a hard time with that. Anytime I came off, I don't think it means throttle, but anytime I come off, thrusting my ship forward, the camera kind of like repositioned itself, and I felt like that was, kind of like stealing away my immersion, and at the same time, anyone else that would be watching. As I'm watching this now, it's very uncomfortable. And it feels a bit too fluid, so as to prevent calling it rigid, etc, etc. What did persist, however, if I'm not mistaken, was my key bindings. I obviously ain't got no complaints against that. Not all my key bindings, but majority of my key bindings kind of moved over into this patch from 4.3, so that was quite neat. Why they take your ships away, I don't fully know, because they're only going to do it again in the 1.0 drop, because if I'm not mistaken, after 4.0, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be 1.0, but now we're getting like 4.8 and then 4.8.1, and we're getting the whole case scenario. So obviously there's going to be another wipe at 1.0. Now there's no point in taking people's money away and taking people's ships away if you're going to be wiping the game again at 1.0, because now after everyone, you know, invests their time into testing and earning and, you know, gaining things, you're just going to take it all away from them again, which I don't think is necessarily all that fair. If you got your loyal backers and your loyal kind of like gamers, there has to be some contribute to them from, you know, people that will be prepared to buy this title on its release. So not taking out of context that, you know, you do want people to actually invest into the title as well, because but though this is an early model, it's in alpha mode, it can be noted that investors into the title are buying ships for their, you know, premium prices. You know, it's like the ship is finished. Most of these ships ain't even finished yet. The game's not even finished yet, but a lot of these ships are selling for premium prices. They're finished top sell retail prices. If you ask me, that don't make sense. If you ask me, that's slightly unfair as well. When I first bought this package, it was the Aurora package with Star Citizen and Squadron 42. I bought that package for a reasonable price, and then what I find is that my package costs a lot cheaper than a lot of starter ships now. So you can buy one ship that costs more than the Aurora and the two games that come with the Aurora. And these ships will be starter ships, little tiny stupid starter ships that don't have anything great. The Aurora comes with 4 size ones. It doesn't come with it, but you can install 4 size ones. It can do cargo, it has a bed, it now has a fire extinguisher. And in the past, they've explained a lot of things that they're going to do to upgrade the ship. We're seeing a lot of those upgrades on the ship now, and certain upgrades that they've mentioned has not even come in play yet, though they said that they've made it gold standard. The gold standard's pretty darn neat, but I still reckon that there's going to be a lot of upgrades, because a lot of upgrades that they said they're going to implement I don't see yet. So so these are some of the things that taking into consideration. A lot of these ships cost a little bit more than packages, which, if you ask me, don't make sense. And these are starter ships, so I think some of these things has to be kind of looked into. I invested into both Star Citizen and Squadron in 2017. Along with that, I bought the Aurora, and as mentioned, very affordable prices. When the time is right, I will show a receipt of this if I feel the need to, but I believe this point is loud and strong enough. And you can probably even do the research your darn self. Something about that would not make sense, because either the two games were extremely cheap, which I doubt, or my ship was very cheap. I believe obviously the ship was. So that kind of estimates how much majority of the ships in game should actually cost. Now, a lot of the starter ships cost a hell of a lot more than, regardless of how you want to look at it. I bought the two games on bargain, so I doubt the ship would have been a bargain price. So obviously, if you were to take that into consideration, my ship must have been very, very, very cheap. So taking that into consideration, a lot of these other ships must be relatively cheap as well, but I'm seeing them selling for, you know, like £60 and upwards. I think this is a bit of an extortion. But anyway, guys, I would like to end the video here. It's kind of on a high note. It's your boy Patience. I hope you like what you be season and heard, and if you did, you leave those thumbs and those likes and those comments down below. And if you have any queries, guys,